A number from the Henderson County closed sales data that should stop every seller in their tracks. Of the 1,149 homes that closed in Henderson County so far in 2026, 76% sold below their original list price. 3 out of 4 sellers had to reduce their price at some point, and those sellers who had to reduce sat on the market a median of 57 days and left a median of $26,000 on the table compared to where they started. The sellers who priced right from day one, they went under contract in a median of 4 days. Big difference. Today, we're going to show you exactly what separates those two groups and how to make sure you're in the second one.
Hi, we're Ryan and Suzanne McAbee with the LivePlayWNC real estate team here in Hendersonville, North Carolina. We've helped homeowners all across Henderson County sell their homes using our peak home selling system, the process that we built specifically for the market to help sellers get prepared, get their home in front of the right buyers, and keep every dollar they've earned on the table.
And everything we do starts with one thing: knowing exactly what's happening in this market right now. Not the national headlines, not last quarter's data, but what's actually happening in Henderson County and in this zip code. Because that's what helps you make a smart decision about one of the biggest financial moves of your life.
So whether you're thinking about selling in the next few months or just keeping a close eye on what your home is worth, you're in the right place.
So before we get into the data and the strategy, we need to talk about how buyers actually perceive pricing, because this is the foundation everything else is built on. And most sellers think about pricing from the wrong direction entirely.
Sellers think about price from their own perspective. What did my neighbor get? What does Zillow's Zestimate say? What did I put into this home over the years? These are all completely understandable things to think about, and none of them are what determines your sales price.
Your sale price is determined by one thing only: what a buyer in this market right now is willing to pay for your home compared to every other option available to them. That's it. The buyer doesn't know what you paid in 2013. They're looking at your home against the other homes that they can buy today with their budget.
And here's the buyer psychology piece that sellers consistently underestimate. When a home comes on the market, you get to its highest level of attention in the first 7 to 14 days. Buyers who have been watching the market have alerts set automatically to come to them. Their agents are notifying them as well. There's a burst of interest the moment a new listing appears that never fully returns if the home doesn't sell in that window.
And if the price is right, that burst of attention converts to showings. Showings convert to offers, and then you sell in days, not months. If the price is wrong, that burst of attention passes without converting. The listing goes stale. Buyers start wondering what's wrong with it. And the only tool left is a price reduction that signals to every active buyer in the market that the seller blinked.
And the data from our Henderson County closed sales this year makes this painfully clear. Homes that sold at or above their original list price did so in a median of 4 days, like we said. 4. Homes that needed a price reduction sat a median of 57 days. That's almost 3 months. The price was the difference, not the location, not the market. It was the price.
So let's walk through the real numbers from 1,149 closed sales in Henderson County so far in 2026. Now, this data comes from our Canopy MLS data. It's not national averages, not estimates, actual transactions in this county this year.
The median close price is $435,000. The price per square foot across all closed sales is running at a median of about $240 per square foot. That's your baseline for thinking about where a well-maintained home in this county should be priced relative to its size.
Now, the days on market picture. The median cumulative days on market is 43 days for all closed sales. But that median is being pulled up by the homes that sat. When you look at the distribution, 42.6% of all homes that sold this year went under contract in 30 days or less. That's nearly half the market moving quickly. Meanwhile, 14.2% sat over 180 days, more than 6 months, before finding a buyer.
Those are two very different experiences of the same market, and what separates them is almost entirely pricing strategy.
Here's the price range breakdown that tells the sharpest story. The $400,000 to $500,000 range, which is the most active segment in Henderson County, had a median cumulative days on market of just 34 days. And sellers received a median of 98.3% of their list price. The $500,000 to $600,000 range was nearly identical, 35 days and 98.4% of the list price.
If you move up to over $1 million price point, the picture shifts a little bit. You have days on market that rise to 46 days, and sellers are receiving about 96.8% of their list price. That's not a bad market, but it's a more patient buyer pool that requires more precise pricing to generate early activity.
And here's the number that should frame every pricing conversation that a seller has. Of the 876 homes that sold below their original list price this year, the median dollar gap between where they started and where they closed was $26,000. The average was $44,500. That is the real cost of overpricing in this market. Not just a longer wait, but a meaningful and measurable reduction in what you actually walk away with.
Now that we understand what the data shows, let's talk about the three most common pricing mistakes we see in Henderson County that sellers make, and why each one is more costly than it may appear initially.
So mistake number one is pricing to the peak. This is the most common mistake in the current market. A seller who watched their neighbor's home sell for $520,000 in early 2023 prices their comparable home at $520,000 in 2026. But the market is mowed. What's sold for $520 at the peak of a historically extraordinary run is worth something different today. Only number that matters is what comparable homes are selling for right now in the last 90 to 120 days, not last year and certainly not 2 years ago.
Mistake number two is pricing to what you need. We hear this in seller conversation regularly. I need to net at least X number of dollars to make the next purchase work. And the market has no interest in what you do. It only responds to what comparable homes are actually selling for. So when the price is set around your financial needs as a seller rather than the market's actual data, the home sits and sitting close to you as the seller far more than a properly priced quick sale would have.
Mistake number three is the Zestimate trap. As we covered in video 6, automated valuation tools are particularly unreliable for Western North Carolina mountain properties. A home with a long-range mountain view, private acreage, and recent renovations can be worth $75,000 to maybe $100,000 more than a comparable home without those features. And the algorithm can't see any of that. So we've seen Zestimates in Henderson County that are $40,000 to $80,000 off in either direction. Pricing to a Zestimate on a mountain property is not a strategy, it's just a guess.
I like the saying where it says the Zestimate and these other automatic valuation tools, they can't smell the cat. So it just uses numbers. That's all it is. So what does the right pricing approach actually look like? And here's how we think about it.
It starts with a genuine comparative market analysis built on the right. For a Henderson County property, that means pulling closed sales from the last 90 to 120 days, ideally with similar square footage, similar bedroom and bathroom count, similar condition and age. Then you adjust for those variables that actually matter in this market. So the view, lot size, visibility, driveway access, well and septic versus city services, HOA versus no HOA, and renovation quality.
The adjustments for views is one of the most significant, most commonly underapplied factors in our area when it comes to pricing. A home with that long-range layered mountain view commands a generally premium over a comparable home that doesn't have one. In some cases, it's significantly more, depending on the quality and the orientation of the view. That premium has to be grounded in what buyers have actually paid for similar view properties, not what you think the view is worth.
So once that analysis establishes the range, the strategic question is where within that range do we price it? And here's where buyer psychology comes back in. Pricing at the top of a supportable range requires a home that is in exceptional condition, perfectly staged, professionally photographed, because you're honestly in the market to validate a premium price with no margin for hesitation. Pricing slightly below the top of a supportable range in a correctly priced market can generate multiple showing requests in the first week, maybe some competitive urgency, and produce offers at or above asking. And so that's a strategy, not a concession.
And the Henderson County data supports this directly. The $400,000 to $600,000 sweet spot where most transactions are happening, where the days on market is around 35, and where sellers are receiving around 98% of the list price is a market that rewards accurate pricing with fast, clean transaction. The sellers in that range who are experiencing 57-day medians and the $26,000 price gaps are the ones who started too high and had to find the market the hard way.
Now we want to spend 1 minute on what we call the price reduction spiral, because understanding it makes everything else in this video click.
That's when a home comes on the market overpriced. The first week's activity is lighter than would have been expected. After 2 or 3 weeks, with no offers, the seller and the agent start discussing price reductions. The home gets reduced. This generates a small second burst of activity. Buyers who are watching it see the reduction. If that reduction isn't enough to land at market value, that burst also passes without an offer. Another reduction follows. By the time the home finally sells, it has been on the market long enough that every active buyer has seen it and passed on it multiple times. The final buyer negotiates from a position of strength because they know the seller is motivated, and the final price is lower than the market value would have been on day one when priced correctly.
The 76% of the Henderson County sellers who sold below their original list price this year didn't plan for that outcome. They started with a number that felt right and discovered the market answer would be a sensible way. The 4% of sellers who sold at or above their original list price and who went under contract in a median of 4 days started with a number that was supported by the data, and that's the only difference.
Here's what every Henderson County seller should take away from this video. The market is not your obstacle. Pricing is a strategy, and when it's done right, using a real current data and genuine local expertise, it produces fast, clean transactions at the top of the supportable range where you net the most money possible. When it's done wrong, produces the price reduction spiral, and that means a $26,000 median gap between where you started and where you finished for this year alone.
The most important conversation you can have before you list is about pricing, and it should be grounded in what the 1,149 actual buyers paid for actual homes in this county this year, not in what you hope the market will pay for what an algorithm thinks your home might be worth.
And if you want to have that conversation with people who work with this information every day in this market, the link for our consultation calendar is below. We'll build a real pricing strategy for you. We'll talk through your specific pricing strategy and recommendations and where to generate the result that you're looking for.
We're Suzanne and Ryan McAbee with the LivePlayWNC team, and we'll get you on your path to sold.